excluded.
All right.
From what is going on in society. You understand me? From socio-economic activities, they have just been excluded. And people are now, we are beginning to see now almost like a fight back.
Okay.
From the excluded ones. And you see, we need to look at our problems the same way, you know, so that we can go for the disease at the same time.
Let's not forget, yes. We are trying to tie this to the expectations for the economy, which has not been met right now. We're talking about pipeline vandalism and all that. And recent reports by Coordinating and Finance Minister Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala has warned that the nation, there's an impending drop in the nation's finances, while addressing a gathering in Washington recently. She said this, and she said Nigeria was losing about $1 billion per month to drop in crude oil production. That's partly a chunk, from our budget. Now, we're trying to look at this challenges countries facing, you know, in line with all this, tied to the economy. Now, how can the government get back on track? Because these issues are still unresolved. We have them in the north. We have, as we're talking about, Boko Haram now is on one side. We have the militants now who have a renewed agitation now coming up and sabotaging the nation's efforts, you know, to meet its targets. What do we really, what can we really do about this? What do you think? Do you think the government is playing to the gallery in the fact that the same minister has also said that CBN governor, the Apex governor, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, has said that we run a very expensive government. And the government now is saying that, look, these are the challenges we're facing, but they're not looking inwards. Now, what do you think about that?
But I believe that in my introduction, that was where I started from. You know, just like any business or like any household, you have a projection, you know, and you can't meet your projection, you adjust. It's very simple. You cut your coat according to your cloth. So let's first come to that. In the midst of all this, you can see all the big votes for the National Assembly, for all sorts of agencies and First Ladies Project, Second Ladies Project, and all sorts of things, you know. So,
in fact, our recording, 70% of our recording
exactly. So you can see the waste. You can see the waste that is still going on a stupendous scale. She should come out and tell us what they want to do about that. Declining revenues, you understand me, are not peculiar to Nigeria. It's just a worldwide, you know, situation that every country has to deal with. The UK is dealing with it. They are dealing with it in the Eurozone. I want to come back to just a point we've been trying to address. Let us look at crude oil theft in the Niger Delta, because I think this is topical.
Yes.
If you look at the sheer volume of what is being stolen, you will know clearly that only syndicates, large syndicates, organized crime, mafia-like organizations can be behind that. How can you tell me that 100,000 barrels of oil will leave country? Are they living through small badges every day? Don't we have a navy? How much? What is the vote for our armed forces this year? Did we vote $3 billion? I mean, we are not stupid people. This is what I'm talking about. You understand me? Let us bring some seriousness to this discussion. Please, we know what to do. There's a soft side. The soft side is, let's create conditions where we can reduce these criminal tendencies. They will always be there. But the hard side is, you know, your interdiction. Improve your interdiction. Fund the Navy, you know, put your frigates out there. And, you know, these things have been taken out by tankers. So everybody is on the take. It's a gravy train. These guys are not asking that you can't take 7 billion, 8 billion out of the country every year. And you tell me that people in Abuja don't know what's going on. It's not possible. They're just saying we don't have a government.
Dr. Nwaeze,
that's a joke.
Where do you differ on this issue, on the pipeline vandalism and the issue in the Niger Delta affecting the economy?
The point is, there is nothing, there's no crime done without some levels of collaboration with those who are sent to monitor them. You get a vehicle smuggled from Cotonou, pay through Cotonou, it gets to get there. The customer are there to collect some tips, and the vehicle goes on. The same thing if you carry human beings, human head, it's only when you fail to settle under Nigerian situation that you are caught. The point that the issue, you see, since the military came up, since military regimes, there have been gross injustice in oil allocation in the Middle Belt. The federal government should readdress the issue of oil block distribution. If you where a large chunk of a nation's wealth is concentrated in one hand, that is one aspect. We are just looking, because I was...
That report has not been verified.
Yes, I was expecting him to also define the issue of oil theft.
Okay.
You also have bunkering.
Okay.
We are just talking about pipeline vandalization, which is done by the ordinary folk.
That's down the line.
Yes. There are also some illegal refineries there. You understand? So the federal government, that's what I said, you have to address them all.
Okay.
You address them. And use, at times for a leader to succeed, you have to apply Machiavellian principle.
There's a proverb that says, if you want to catch a thief, you must think like a thief. So recent reports hasn't the federal government tried by recruiting these militants into its security apparatus, like one of the militant chiefs, like you have Boylof, and you have this gentleman that's been talking in the news lately.
Yes.
Well, he has recruited them and paid them to make sure that these atrocities stop in the creeks. What do you think? Isn't that good enough?
Yeah, well, the issue of behaving like that's your adage, I mean, not as such, because it means you're defining the militants as the agent provocateur.
I'm just using it as a yardstick.
But what I believe is that the militants know the terrain. They've over the time warred in that terrain. Okay. They also know the perpetrators. So they're in better position to do it. But whether they've been involved or not, I may not agree with you. Because I believe that all these people who are being caught around Lagos, around Ogun State, are not militants. Ordinary people. As I said, it's great.
Okay, we'll take a break now.
Yes.
We'll take a look at a report by CNN on the pipeline vandalism in the Niger Delta. Let's look at that report. When we come back, we'll continue from where we stopped.
Well, I think crude theft has been on the increase, and it is really very dangerous for the industry. It is terrible for the environment. A lot of our spills are occurring because of violence and vandalism. A lot are occurring because of crude oil theft.
More than 70% of all oil spilled from the facilities of the Shell Petroleum Development Company in the Niger Delta over the last 5 years was from sabotage or leaks caused when thieves damaged pipelines and wellheads. In 2009, these two causes alone accounted for 98% of SPDC spills. In August 2010, CNN reported the terrible environmental impact of oil theft and illegal oil refineries. Here, CNN showed young men risking their lives refining diesel from stolen crude. Fires heat the crude oil in these barrels. The diesel evaporates and passes through pipes, cooled by water, and then comes out into these barrels. It's very dangerous work, with naked flames just meters away. This young man told CNN he had lost count of the number of people who have died in explosions. This man is risking his life paddling a canoe filled to the brim with potentially explosive diesel. Illegal oil refineries like these dot the Niger Delta. The pollution they cause is clear to see. In June, the United Nations Environment Programme, who've been conducting an assessment of one part of the Delta, Ogoniland, warned that these illegal refineries are having a serious impact on health, security, and livelihoods, particularly fishing. So why does this lethal activity continue? These men do it to survive, but they don't earn much. Poverty in the Niger Delta is widespread. The real winners are the organized criminal gangs who orchestrate a massive illegal business, stealing and selling oil in huge quantities. It's theft on an industrial scale. According to some estimates, hundreds of thousands of barrels of oil a day.
It's fair to say that this is being done by organized criminal gangs, not just an individual, because you require money to hire barges, to hire trains, to get tankers, and to buy the influence you need to move this thing around. This is not what we want in Nigeria.
SPDC works hard to clean up all spills no matter what their cause and return the land to its original state.
There's got to be a lot of education there, massive education, for people to appreciate what this is doing to the environment and what it's doing to the economy. But on our part, we also have a role to play to making sure that we can minimize the operational spill that occur, in our day-to-day operations. The volume of spill that had happened due to operational error has gone down significantly. We will continue to making sure that operational spills are reduced to the barest minimum.
I feel very sad, not just because of the economic sabotage, but because of the environment, because of the fact some unscrupulous person decide to get rich destroying our environment, which we should be living for our future children.
All right, that was a report, a CNN report that brought to us about pipeline vandalization and the amount of money that Nigeria loses daily from that activity. Now, gentlemen, look at that. Look at that report right now. It seems that it has defied, the situation has defied solutions right now in Nigeria. Nigeria loses between $6 to $12 billion annually to oil thefts. And analysts say as long as there is no equitable distribution of resources, stopping crude oil theft will be an unrealistic expectation. What do you think about that, Mr. Yola? Let me start with you.
Well, I believe that all we have been saying since we started has been the same thing. We have a broken system. The system is completely broken.
What resources are there to be equitably distributed here? What is it?
The system is completely broken. We are paying lip service, to what we need to address with seriousness and urgency, and it has always been the same trend. I think the problem we're beginning to see now in the Niger Delta in terms of, crude oil theft is derivation, through the back door. Of course, then with other people now in cahoots with them, But I come back to my same point. Now, where there's no equity, where there's exclusion, people are going to react. People are going to react. So that's what we're saying now. And it will take so many forms. I think it's a way. But actually, I also have another view, which is a little bit cynical. I think that what is also going on in the Niger Delta now, especially with the crude oil theft, is another way to buy peace. Okay. Yes, to buy peace. Most of the big guys there, most of the barons, the kingpins there, they are pretty much comfortable now. Okay. But again, it's the piece of the graveyard. How long will that last? Yes. Is it sustainable or not? So again, it's the way we solve our issues in Nigeria. We take a short-term solution to a long-term problem. But I'm still coming back to the point. The fundamental issue remains the same. That, the country is death poor, the country is being misgoverned forever. And so we are all these are just symptoms, pipeline vandalization, crude oil theft, kidnapping, arson, terrorism in the north, and so on. But the root cause, we have to go back, equity in the way we distribute resources in the country, and so on and so forth. Even federalism, genuine federalism, we've not talked about that, genuine federalism, because what we are still running is a unitary state. This gargantuan center, taking all the resources and mismanaging the resources. This was not what we had in the First Republic. Okay. All the appendages, all the other units, okay, of the federalism are so weak. Okay. That's what we're seeing.
We'll talk about the size of government first, but let me take from Dr. Nwaize here. And, do you agree that people are saying, reports say there's actually an economy outside Nigerian economy, it's in the Niger Delta right now, based on the amount of money Nigeria loses. And we talk about losing about $1 billion a month. We don't even know how many barrels we're producing. So how do we know how many we are losing? That is the question.
Well, as I've always said, concerning the issue of budgetary allocation, they're all about estimates. The major foreign companies that actually export our oil is the data they give us that we accept. Because they have the technical know-how. That's the other aspect. So the point is that we do not even know, we do not even have the actual data on the amount of oil we produce and the amount of what? And the amount of oil we export. Looking at it, you find that, as I said, just as you rightly said, there is economy within economy. You could see the issue of oil blocks. You could see the bequeathed to families. You could see the issue of oil bunkering, in which even most of those detailed to correct the situation eventually become partakers. Then you should also see the issue of illegal refineries, and so on and so forth. I think the first thing Nigeria has to do is we need to carry out moral reorientation on wealth acquisition. You look at the families of those who really accumulated, ill-gotten wealth over the years. What has happened to their generation? This is one aspect. As I told my children, I'm not ready to steal any money and keep for you, so that if I die tomorrow, you start fighting over the wealth you did not suffer to acquire. My parents did not leave any dime for me. You understand? So you look at that point. That is one. Secondly, we have that problem. You are talking of illegal refineries. Why not let our refineries work?
That's a big question.
Why not let our refineries work?
That is a big question. Mr. Yola,
that is the issue.
Let's deviate a bit. Let's look at abandoned projects now. The government has been making excuses for itself. Now, the same coordinating minister, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, said a while ago that the President Goodluck Jonathan administration in 13 years has set a world record of over 6,300 abandoned capital projects incurred recklessly by 30 ministries, departments and agencies. And she says about 7 trillion is required to complete the projects. That's what she said, and the inception of this present administration. What do you think about that? Don't you think that is quite alarming? I mean, I said it would take over 4 trillion budget for 2012, 2013, if it would take about 2 years national budget to finish these projects. And that it's if the National Assembly and governors officials forfeit their final financial emoluments, which we don't think that will be possible in the recurrent budget, and discounting, ballooning, contract price variation. That's another issue. These are very serious things that continue unabated. What's your take on that?
Of course, I guess you've answered the question. You said it is alarming. It is alarming. Now, but I still come back to my earlier point. When this kind of information is put across to us, the question you should ask is, to what end? What do they want? What is the response they want from us? Okay. Are we in a position to respond to it? If there are 6,300 abandoned projects requiring either 4 trillion naira to complete, or 7 trillion naira, I'm not even sure what figure that we should believe now. Who's to do something about it? Is the person who has reported it and the team they are put together. So we are being informed. So we know it's alarming. That's true. So but what do we do about it? Okay. The reason we have a government in place is to fix that. Okay, so they now know. So they've been able to localize the problem. Then they should come up with a plan to deal with that. Okay, so let us now come back to basics. Out of the 6,300 projects, probably 70% of those projects were not needed in the first instance. Don't let's forget that. So it's not every abandoned project that needs to be completed. There's something we call sunk cost. The cost is sunk anyway. So if we started the White Elephant project that we've now realized, really, let's get it very well, that we should not have started this project. We have no choice. We have to find somewhere other to also demolish, whatever you want to do about it. Now, out of the 6,300, now prioritize. And say out of these 6,300 projects, maybe only 20% really are critical, you know, when we're talking about the future of this country. Now, come back with a plan and tell us what you're going to do about it. That's what I think they should do. But just telling us that we have a 4 trillion hole and so on and so forth, I don't see what do they expect us to do? Okay. Let them go and fix it.
Dr. Nwaize, how do you think the economic team can prioritize and do something to get the economy back on track based on these facts that are on ground?
Fiscal discipline from the top downwards, the politicization of our bureaucratic system. Because the major thing is politicization. You award a contract, inflate a contract, and you award it with the impression that there must be upfronts for the party, upfront for the second person, upfront for the second level, and then upfront for the agents. You find that at the end of the day, the contractor is left with a little chunk to complete that job. He does it a little bit, he abandons it, and the action, and when he abandons it, those who awarded the contract will now lack the moral courage to question him what's happening with that job. I believe there must be that fiscal discipline. You design a project, you design the costs, and the cost is there, you budget the cost, you know that we complete it. So why leave it?
So what's your take now? What do you think this government should do?
The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will also not only talk about the security aspect. The security, we should also look at the economic aspect. Use iron hand and poke into it. And the problem is, you see the problem, the question of re-election, the question of political spoils of office. If I challenge this man now, he may work against me. He may decide to go to the opposition and work at that. So you see that now, you know, using a glove
due to time, let me take a parting shot from Mr. Akinola, Mr. Akinola Ayola on that issue. What do you think the government should do now, in a, just in a sentence, in one sentence? What do you think they should do to get the economy on track right now?
I think primarily we need to plug all the leakages. I mean, there are just too many leakages. As our respected doctor mentioned, we need to do something about fiscal discipline, no doubt about it. But more than anything, as we all know, is this issue of corruption. We need to tame the monster. It's a monster that is just sucking the lifeblood of the nation. We need to do something about it. We are paying lip service to it. You understand? We are not serious about it. And, the country is dying in installments. That's my problem. Let's go and attack these issues.
All right. And I believe that we've come to this juncture where we say we do not have enough time to continue and we have to round off on the agenda today. I just want to thank the two gentlemen that have taken the time out to join us today on the show. Mr. Akinola Ayola, a management consultant, managing partner, Jasper Barrow Consulting, a seasoned practitioner and a former chief human resource officer, Owando PLC. Thank you for coming on the show, sir. I also want to thank Dr. Tony Nwaize. He's Igwe. Yes, I don't want to forget that. Nwaize Igwe. He's definitely, having him on the show was a pleasure. An expert in international relations and diplomacy, an ethno-religious conflict consultant, and a political analyst. And let's not forget, he's also a full-time lecturer at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Thank you for coming on the show, sir. It's been great having you, two gentlemen, brilliant exposition. And I certainly hope that you've gained something today from today's discourse, talking about tackling Nigeria's security challenge and threats of revenue decline. And the issue is transparency. Government needs to show more political will, needs to take the bull by the horn and play less to the gallery. My name is Henry Williams. I want to thank you for joining us. Until we meet again on another edition of The Agenda, it's bye from me and have a wonderful day.
So it's not the